This pain is not just for you, it's been homogenized. This pain is humbling truth, locked up and buried inside the words and phrases.
I guess to everyone, it's Ada from Poison Rock, and we really my pleasure. Today we have an interesting project, Contracult. We are with us, Travis. How are you, first of all? The toughest question of all.
I'm doing okay today.
It's good to know. I mean, I really, like I told you, like I was mentioning before, finding Contracult really an interesting project, especially because it's true, it's different, and it's kind of as deep. I mean, the topic you speak in your own songs, it's it's deep and tough, and someone has to speak the truth, has to say certain things. So, first of all, congratulations for being such bold and brave. I mean, it's not for anyone. But before we start to speak about as well the process, which is your last EP, and a little bit of the album and the music, would like to hear, like to ask about your own musical journey, Travis. So, are you getting closer with industrial music, and then of course how Contracult started as well.
Sure. Yeah. Um, well, I started playing music when I was about 9 years old, was when I first picked up a guitar and started learning from really basic angle, and then eventually that drove into songwriting and everything. And what's interesting is like some of the first music that I ever got interested in was 70s disco. And then kind of from there found 70s rock and roll, like
Okay.
Kiss, Thin Lizzy, and that sort of thing. Which is funny having like saying those two genres of music, because as far apart as
Yeah.
they are from each other, like in a way, industrial metal is kind of what both those things became in some
It's
regard.
interesting. It's an interesting explanation.
Yeah. Um, so I guess that was my first like introduction to
Yeah.
music that I really liked. And then from there I started getting into some heavier stuff like punk rock and some metal, and started some bands at like a pretty early age. Like I think I had my first one when I was 12, and then took that a little bit more seriously throughout high school. Like went on my first tour with a hardcore band when I was 18.
You were really young to do a tour like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then kept up with it, and then kind of started to gravitate and find like industrial and goth
Yeah.
and some other things that were outside of what I was listening to at the time. I always liked industrial music, but I think like
Very
being
deep.
so enveloped in like the crust punk scene and the metal scene
Yeah.
and everything, that was kind of a taboo genre at the time.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
this was the early 2000s, so I think
Yeah.
it was that was an interesting wave for the genre, and I
Yeah.
think anybody
Yeah.
associating industrial music associated it with like
Metal.
goth dancing under a bridge. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And then I played in some metal and hardcore bands for a long time, and then I had a band called White Widows Pact with my friend Nick, who plays guitar in Contracult now. And I think one night we started like just discussing genres, and we realized we both really had an affinity for industrial music, specifically industrial music with guitars in it.
Yeah.
And we just sort of spoke about how not many people were doing that these days, and how we wanted to try to
Yeah.
execute it.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Because you don't use in your music, let's pretend to the people like, or you use it like, because of course people that are, for example, are approaching now and maybe they don't never have listened a song of Contracult. You go throughout like, so like say like guitar, drums, or there's as well an electronic component in it.
Yeah.
So we have like all the package of the industrial music.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
We
that's it.
try to keep it that way.
And that's the beauty of Contracult because it's a kind of a raw, we can say, but industrial music has never been raw as a genre because there's a lot of work behind it. Because when we listen, it's like we look to do all this roughest stuff topic, roughest music, but at the same time, there is a lot of work I think behind as well. That when you compose music, when you record music, so yeah, there is work. but at the same time, the message you send, I mean, it's a it's a deep topic, and I mean, music is a, as you know, is a like a unique worldwide message. So that's good for the people that maybe they don't want to hear the music they are forced to hear, kind of. So to go
Yeah.
outside. So for you, Contracult, what does it mean as a project?
Um, I think it's I think it's supposed to be it's it's like an artistic outlet and expression of being a true outcast and whatever kind of societal construct that means. And also just and you know and finding a way to like express your darkness and your uniqueness and like your soul and you know whatever it is that envelops it in a really like in a really safe and accepting way. You know,
Yeah,
I think like I really hold on to like the concept and of like being a freak, and you know I want to be open about my freakiness and my and you know my darkness and my personality, and also be like really welcoming to a community of people that also feel like they need an outlet to express that. And I think that's kind of where the cult aspect comes into it.
yeah.
And
It's
yeah.
like a kind of group of people that mean, you know, those people that can reach out and be part, or let's say, of the Contracult family,
Hmm.
like that. So without being judged, without because this world when we live in, it's so full of, you know, what we know, it's full of judgment. You can't be sad because why you're sad? Why you have to laugh all the time? And then you have to pretend. So if I am a fucking bad days, why can't be just who I am? If I like melancholy, why should I can't like it? Why I have to like all the time sunset and dolphin? I don't think so.
Hmm.
So that's as well because, like as well, there's a lot of people that, like you said, are outcast, and
Yeah.
especially growing, especially teenager. I mean, everything can start from there. People that they feel outcast from the society and they don't have a place to go. Especially, I think when I don't know if it happens to you as well, where were growing up in a school or with between friends. Maybe you have your own, of course, friends, you know, group of friends, but you were always different from the others, different
Hmm.
from the other one, just like of course, like the outcast, and felt always like you didn't where you belong. Maybe at the beginning, you're like, I don't know who I am, I don't know where I belong, and we always knew who we are.
Hmm.
It's the fact that we have just to accept it. So Contracult is like a kind of a manifest, I think, to and express this kind of expression to be who you are, no matter what,
Yeah.
and doing with your music amazingly, amazingly. And the process is, I think about that is as well a kind of a manifest. Of course, I mean, yeah, correct me here if I'm right or wrong, because I just searched your band by my own, so I didn't get any press promotion. So you released two full length,
Hmm.
which are A Cult of Opposition in 2020 and The New Torment.
Hmm.
So you started to release the full length during the perfect time, the pandemic era.
Yeah, exactly.
That was so. Well, I mean, of course, because you released as well EPs
Hmm.
behind all that, and going throughout a full length is always a big step for a band because releasing an EP is more like a direct message. It's few songs, like a certain number of songs, but releasing a full length is a kind of a big step for a band. In your personal, of course, perspective or professional perspective, what can you see could be a difference from going throughout an EP? I mean, if there is a difference throughout, let's say, a cult of opposition, and what does it mean a cult of opposition to you as well?
I think a cult of opposition means what you know what I was saying before, and just like you know
Yeah,
we're struck into a society that's inherently racist, sexist, transphobic, homophobic,
yeah,
and you know I think and
yeah,
for people that don't fall into like this normative ideology of how humanity
Definitely.
is supposed to manifest and exist, we are on some kind of cult of opposition. And I think that's like, I think that's that's what that concept is trying to portray, is just, is,
Opposed
yeah.
to the stigma, like, so it's like, let's say, if we can apply to, like I would say, transphobic, but as well racist, let's say, all
Hmm.
these people that they have to believe that there's kind of, I don't know, let's say, a kind of perfection human being, which
Right.
we all knew this is not true.
Hmm.
And they
And,
all knew as well.
yeah, and I think also like trying to take that a step further and not saying that like these things end with a subculture or something, and that's saying like, because I think there's kind of this idea that like once you get once you get to, you find your people, you find your subculture, then like all of a
Yeah.
sudden all these other, societal constraints just wash away, and that's not really the case. Like we're all a part of and conditioned to the society, and
Yeah. Of
whatever privileges or
course.
um non-privileges we're basically forced into at birth. So I
Yeah.
think that's the idea of it. And also just like I think no matter what, like even even within like whatever communities I've ever been a part of, with art that I've made, with s- art that I liked that were maybe outside of what my friends liked or my scene liked or something like that. Like I think I've always felt on the outside of something. So that's kind
Yeah.
of that's sort of where that whole
Yeah.
concept plays in.
Yeah, because that, having, of course, growing up, we had, like people that we were looking to, like as well, like, let's say, influences or inspiration that, of course, otherwise you wouldn't do your own art, and I wouldn't do mine. But there were few, there were not so many, because
Yeah.
we didn't have all this way of spreading music and art that we have today. So, see, like musician and artists like you, like other artists as well, promoting and not wrong, just being themselves and putting their own, saying their own message. And I think it goes straight to the younger people, because I mean, even just I don't know, a 16 years old guy just look in his interview and say, "Oh, look, I look like them. I have tattoos. I have dark hair. I just have piercing or something. Something is different because the system is changed. There are more people, more, they'll say, like us, but still, especially in the rural area, especially from where I am, from Sicily, which is Italy. That's it, believe me, it's not easy to find. I am the weirdo here in Sicily. Man.
Sure. Yeah.
I should build my own cult here, like calling my people that's maybe convert them, like they're supposed to be fast. So that's not easy. That's especially for that, let's say, guys who lives and girls who lives, especially in the remote area of the globe.
Hmm.
That's what's the beauty of your music, and the music that can unify wherever we are. And your message can go even to the opposite side of the globe and take those small kids and say, look, I want to do and I want to be in that way because it's not wrong. It's who I am and I have to accept it. So for that, thanks, Travis, for putting, because I know that giving your idea, putting your words outside is not always easy, because we knew very well that there's no free speech at all. So that's brave of you. And don't never stop to do it, because we need voices. We need voices. And of course, I mean, you releasing this album in 2022, in 2020 has been kind of a little bit of challenging, of course, for that particular moment that we were in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it wasn't by choice.
yeah,
And that was, and pandemic was a really interesting time for us because
yeah.
um we had actually signed with Roadrunner right before that, and Cult of
Congrats.
Opposition was supposed to be our first release with them. And
Okay.
then, the pandemic had other plans and they let us go. So we were sort of left to our own accord, trying to
Yeah,
figure out what to do with that. And, I I feel good about it. I feel good about the material. There was definitely some things that were supposed to be. There was a couple songs that were supposed to be on that album that we hadn't been able to coordinate recording with the producer that we were working with at the time.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was, I mean, I still really love it. I'm still really proud of it, but
Yeah, it's
it like you said, it was just a really hard time to release music. And
yeah, it was, and especially I mean as well. I think live shows. It was. I mean,
yeah,
it was.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
we didn't.
yeah, in the
Yeah,
live shows you deliver straight away your message,
totally.
and
That's definitely.
yeah, and what, for example, because of course it's interesting to like, of course, in the we all are used to, you know, like black metal, death metal, kind of this, let's say, most underground but popular genre or subgenre of metal of music is in any way. So we know what to expect, but we forgot what to expect from an industrial band, an industrial project, because we forgot because paying attention to that, there are not so many bands doing proper industrial music. So, what we could expect for a Contracult live show?
For a Contracult live show, we play. Let's see, we play as a three-piece right now.
Okay,
Yeah, and that was actually we had a little bit of a shift, which is part of the reason that we released the process actually,
okay,
and I think we just kind of wanted to get back in
yeah,
within ourselves and like and
yeah,
realize what material we really love playing, realize what material we
okay,
love playing live, and try to get back to kind of the roots of why we started this project to begin with. So live right now, it's three of us. I do vocals and then also like moved off to do some. We had a like a keyboard player for a while, but
okay,
now like I play some of the keyboard parts and do a little bit more electronics on stage and kind of like
okay.
try to like remove myself from like the standard kind of narcissistic
Frontman.
lead singer guy thing.
There's the frontman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And so, and you know, I mean, I still hold a microphone and
yeah, of
sing
course.
and
I mean,
everything.
someone has to sing the song somehow.
Yeah. But I kind of, you know, I also produce all the music and
Really?
or mhm.
You
And
produced
like
the music in the process?
yeah,
Okay, that's big anyway.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
That's big.
So I wanted to portray that on stage a little bit more and be a little more hands-on and not just, you know, stand in front of a mic stand. And yeah, we have and then we play with a live drummer, and then also my partner in crime on the project, Nick, plays guitar, and we have a lot of we have pretty good visuals, use some triggered lights and such, and definitely some fog, and you know, it's a very energetic
Okay,
but
visual
um
too.
yeah, it's like we're actually releasing in conjunction with with the
Great.
process EP. We're actually releasing like a live video live stream ish
Okay.
tape version of the set, so you can kind of get an idea for what the band is like
And
live now.
there's a release date for that for this video, or is still like in production? You
We
don't know
just
what.
finished it today actually, so
Oh,
I
okay.
think
So
it's gonna
you must be tired. Okay.
be a
So,
little
but it's
yeah.
good to
So
know though.
yeah, so we'll have it out in like the next couple weeks or so.
That's good to know because you know, most of the live shows are always. I mean, there are as well, you know, like visual effect or something. But when you play an instrument, a keyboard, unless you are not a real, like say, an electronic musician, so that, and you're focusing more, you can afford to have a little bit of more visual for that because they're amazing, a musician doing that.
Yeah.
Playing, having instruments, having visuals, having effect on the stage, being interact with the fan, playing, singing, having electronic is a quite a full immersion in a, let's say, in a theater, almost a theatrical live
Mm.
shows. More
Yeah.
than it's like going to deep dive in the maybe in the core of a Contracult.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
right now you are performing live somewhere or something, or just for the releasing of a process, or you're just I don't know, what's the actual live plans at the moment?
We have a local show in LA, which is like
Okay.
to promote the EP that we'll be announcing pretty soon. Might already be announced by the time that this
Okay.
comes out.
Yeah,
Um,
probably.
and then we were also recently we were added to a new festival called Mainframe Festival.
Yeah,
Um,
I read that. Yeah.
yeah,
When?
which it's the artist Ghostmane's personally curated festival. He's a personal friend, and he asked us to be a part of it, and it's pretty cool. It's like they're doing it on the same grounds that they do Brutal Assault Festival at. I've never been there, but I think it's called, you could
It's
tell
a
me, Joe
fortress. It's a
Fortress,
fortress.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, you will have a lot of fun there. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, and I think Brutal Assault might be involved with it too. So it's the weekend before Brutal Assault, and
Congratulations. It's a
thank you.
fucking big
Yeah.
thing.
It's cool too. Like I think I mean personally he's one of my favorite contemporary artists, and I think one of
Yeah,
the best people. I actually think he's one of the best people doing industrial metal right now as well. But his he comes from so many different musical backgrounds, so he's really
that,
trying to curate a festival that features everything
and
that he
it's
likes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So we're
because
on it. Trust, Three Teeth, this really great band, another industrial metal band called Black Magnet. It's a rapper Scarlord that's on it now. This other rapper Poya, and he hasn't announced the rest of the lineup now, but I'm excited to see where he goes with it.
yeah, because as
Oh,
well as
he's
easy
so into death metal and black metal and hardcore and like so it's
that's
cool. Yeah, it's and I think he's like, and he's what I appreciate is like what I appreciate a lot by the festival is that it's like
yeah,
really making a point to not throw the same legacy acts that we've been seeing on every other festival for a while, and I think that was kind of his point of like all the bands can't be older than 10 years, and
yeah,
I think these things are important if we're gonna
yeah,
build new headliners.
yeah, exactly. And this is your first time overseas, over ocean, maybe we should say.
Yeah.
This is your first,
Yeah.
so you're landing in one of the best. I mean, it's not only the country itself, which is beautiful, and it has a lot of darkness inside it. But darkness, that type of darkness that you see it and feel good when you see it, like that's fucking freaking beautiful. But the location with this fortress around, geez, and if you're gonna have your visual, I think people from Europe that where I am, they're not gonna miss it. I mean. And it's like you said, being some weeks before the actual brutal assault, you might have a lot of people going to the brutal assault as well. So it could be a good way to kind of merge both of the scene. Because
Yeah.
brutal assault, as the name said, it has different genre. It's not like all extreme metal. That's good because that's they have, and it's a little bit smaller, of course, not smaller. It's big though, but let's say it contains. The people are packed, so you will see a lot of packed people. But there are so many bands, and it's a kind of institution for the say even underground music, I should think, because sometimes we gave so much to take for granted the underground scene so much, which is I'm finding. That there are so many great bands from that underground scene, especially nowadays in US, in UK. There's a lot of amazing music in Canada that I'm like, even for the hardcore scene, that I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, that metal that deserves to be out, like as well in this festival. Because we keep on seeing, like the big band. That's what you were saying that all the time. The big bands, legacy, it's beautiful. We all love to see our idols, but there should be kind of more space for the new bands, the new material, new stuff. Otherwise, we end up just to see the same song and same thing all over again. So for this, congratulations, because it's a not. I mean, it's like for a band from, let's say, for example, for Europe, would go in US, let's say for the Milwaukee That Fest, for example, or another type of festival, or Burning Man whatsoever, like would be congratulations, you're going. So it's kind of how do you feel like, I mean, to travel all around this across the oceans?
Mhm.
I mean, Hopefully, maybe you will do some other gigs around Europe because there's a lot of cool venue. Maybe even Berlin could be fucking good fitting for you.
Yeah, we're working on something.
Yeah.
We're working on some other stuff now. I mean, it's like we're still a relatively new band, and we don't have an agent out there or anything. But
Yeah,
I think we're trying to work out some other things to try to maximize our time out there.
of
Even
course.
just going over to Berlin to do a party or something like that would be
Yeah,
fun. I've
that
been there. I've
yeah,
been. I have traveled around Europe a lot on
yeah.
my own with other bands and stuff like that. But
So you already know a little bit the how it's located the scene. Maybe when you can man where Contracult could works better, like to start and spreading
yeah,
the cult as well. Yeah.
exactly. So I mean, we're worst case scenario, like, it's a reason to try to come back and
Yeah,
everything.
but it's not because I think you're gonna land it fucking good because like Germany is the land for every type of music. I think really,
That's fine.
especially yeah, and especially Berlin, the North Germany is really good for the let's say the industrial electronic music because they have a lot of amazing club, but as well like Czech Republic, all the Eastern Europe, it's freaking cool. But I think all the world, I mean, just step by step, there's no rush. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think that you will have an agent, you will find an agent, you will find because I can understand that, for example, booking a whole European tour, whole worldwide tour is not easy just doing by your own. So you will need at a certain point. But speaking about the process, of course, there now is it's available in all the major platforms for sure. Of course. So for people that wanted to stream it, listen it, download it, they can find it everywhere.
Mm.
There is a kind of physical copy too. There's thought of doing physical copies or just only streaming at the moment.
There is a physical copy right now on
Okay.
CD. And I think we're mulling around the idea of doing one, maybe two more EPs and then conjoining those together as a vinyl release eventually. But that's
That's a
probably,
good idea.
yeah, that's probably something for a little while longer. But we put this record out with a label called Good Size Records and another label called Art of War, and they have a physical like
Copy.
CD copy of it now.
So people can find it there. And about the process, so you were saying that the process, like what you want to say about that. So this is who Contracult is today. So we can say you basically back to the origin, but with the of the say the conflict, the knowledge of who you are of today.
Mhm.
So what is could be changed mainly between then and now?
I'd say would be the simplest way to put it.
Yeah,
Feels hard.
yeah,
With the new Torments, I mean, I love it and I love where we went for it.
yeah.
At that moment,
Mhm.
it was during pandemic time when we wrote and recorded that record, and I think there was a lot of just, we weren't really sure exactly.
Yeah.
We weren't sure who we were in that moment,
Cool.
and I think there was a lot of like we just kind of tried everything, and it didn't. I think there's moments of that record that don't feel as focused as like
Yeah,
what the process is right now, and with the process, it's like the songs all sound different, but I think it's clear they're all from the same band.
yeah.
And yeah,
And
and it just feels like a nice, like, it's just tight. It's like we definitely tried some things that we never tried before, like,
okay.
blast beat in a song, um and a couple other just like textures and writing styles and
Yeah,
production and everything. But I do feel like it's the most like I feel like it was an opportunity for us to get back together, get together and say like, okay, what is really working right now, and what really works?
exactly.
What's working, what's working in a sense of like numbers and
Okay, so
fan,
you
what have you, but also what's working for like us? Like what's like, let's
yeah,
write let's write songs that we love to play live, that we want to,
okay.
that like, you know, that we
So
feel like the right amount of like dark and catchy and
yeah, and maybe that you can move in a different, knowing how the result is going to be as well for you and for the people moving to the following EPs and full length and whatsoever. And the topic, like the core of the essence, is always like the outcasting, being who you are, or something as well. You've been added in the lyric wise.
Yeah, definitely. You know, my I think that's something that sort of separates us a little bit within the genre because, and this is not to throw shade or disrespect or anything,
No, no.
but you know, I I think like even just within like even just within the genre there's like a
Yeah,
lot there's kind of these two sides of the coin when it comes to
yeah,
like lyrical content when it comes to these bands, and there's bands like us or like more of a Nine Inch Nails that I think come from like a really personal place
yeah,
with their lyrics. And then you know I've just like never really been interested in writing about like cyberpunk lore or you know or just
yeah.
like,
About
kind of
life.
more of like the Ministry
Yeah,
style of
yeah, I get it. So you just face the topics of life, how you see your point of view on subject. It could be like we were saying before, transphobic, be yourself. Let's say cultural things. So
yeah.
life, real life. Thank you for doing that. We need some real things and not some whatever on the universe things. We need to be a little bit downhearted and see what is going on. So thank you for that. But
Absolutely. I mean, it's
that's
dark and reality's dark enough, you know. You
yeah. I mean,
don't
we
really
know.
need it.
Yeah, and don't tell me from this fucking land. Yeah, I love Sicily, but it's fucked up. Shit, believe me. So I know that. I mean, the world is fucked up. But if you're not a friend or father or daughter or someone here, you can forget to work. You have to move on. Because it works, these fucking things. You have to be friends. You have to recommendation. That's how does it work. Italy. That's horrible. Because it's a good country, good history, but the rest we got to in other places. But
Italian, right?
yeah. So just to summarize, there's gonna be some live shows all around, say United States, and then let's say that the brutal assault places in let's say around that place, and people can find the information you're thinking in your social media and everything in the website, and the process is out. So just stream it, buy the records, and really, Travis, thank you for your music. I really need this type of music, which is true. And I think that even if people don't listen to industrial metal, that, for example, they listen country music, that if the message is true, like, for example, country music, you like the music and you ended up to listen to that because it's the message and the people, which is true. So thank you for doing that. And you will bring a new wave of industrial metal in Europe. That's for sure. And I'm sure that in a couple of, let's say 6 months, 7 months, or a year, we will do another interview. And I will say, you see, I told you, you conquer the industrial Europe.
Sounds good. Yeah, you should
Yeah.
come out to the festival and do it there.
Yeah, I would love to. I have to check it out because it's in the summer season. So that's cool. So we can do it all with all the Contracult people. It's gonna be cool. And I'm gonna keep all the weirdo people as with me as well. Let's do the interview with a bunch of outcasting people. That's cool.
Perfect.
So thank you so much. Have a good rest of the day for you. Have a good rest of the day. And looking forward to see the live video when it's gonna be out. And thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Have a nice evening. A nice day for me, it's evening. Bye, Tracy.